second way in which privatisation is supposed to be beneficial is it can act as a supply-side policy in product markets. So what it's intended to do is it's intended both to increase competition between firms and also create a profit motive. So it's a product market supply-side reform designed to challenge firms to use their resources efficiently, because hopefully there's more competition. And also, a secondary aim is hopefully it will suppress or weaken the wage price spiral. So when workers work for the government, then they know that essentially there's no limit to how much they can be paid, whereas when workers are working for private sector organisations, ultimately those organisations have to make a profit or they're going to get bust. And the people who are working for them know that. So therefore, it gives the firms more strength in the pay bargaining system, making it more difficult for the wage price circle or spiral to get established. So hence it's kind of anti-inflationary pressure. And one way of seeing that then is if we look at it at a macro level, from a supply side policy point of view, then what it's doing is it's forcing firms to become more efficient. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And as a result, again, depending on your choice of on your choice of model, what it's doing is it's shifting aggregate supply outwards. It's on the one hand, it's increasing growth, so it's creating more efficient and better use of resources, putting downward pressure on prices and so on. And the competition is anti-inflationary. So on the one hand, here number one, we have anti-inflationary pressure. On the other hand, two, privatisation is likely to lead to better, more efficient use of resources and create both actual and potential growth. So, as a supply-side policy, then, at a macro level, it's forcing firms to use their resources more efficiently. At a micro level, that also has an impact, because if we can create efficiency and a profit motive, then what that should also do is it should lead, hopefully, to a decrease in prices for consumers. It might lead to an increase in choice, and it might lead to an increase in quality. So, that's this idea of particularly competition is leading to those outcomes. So, to what extent do we think that necessarily has happened in the UK over recent years? We can say that in markets where you've been able to introduce competition, then that essentially has been broadly successful. If you look at the UK, British Leyland, used to make cars. There's huge, clearly, kind of the price of cars in real terms has come down a hell of a lot over the last 20 or 30 years. There's plenty of choice, quality. If you look at telecoms, again, massive range of choice, and so on. So, look at British Airways, or BAA, which operates airports. There's been lots of investment into those sectors, and we'll come back to actually investment in a minute. On the other hand, if you don't introduce competition, then that's generally meant that we haven't received these benefits. So if you look at something like water, the UK water industry, each of the companies basically just has a regional monopoly, has control over a particular area. In the UK, we still have water shortages in the summer. And obviously, for anybody who's lived in the UK, the idea that somehow we don't have enough water is bizarre. And prices have increased, kind of 5 times. Kind of okay said over the first 20 years after privatisation, price increased by kind of 5 times, much faster than inflation because of a lack of competition. And when you look at outsourcing, in terms of whether that's been beneficial, I mean, the key problem with outsourcing is that in order to you do need to become more efficient because you've got to make a profit. You're saying that you're going to do something for a lower price than the government did it, so you're going to need to cut costs. So that can be fine, and in some sectors, there have been improvements in quality and services. But in a lot of outsourced areas, what's happened is the way in which costs have been reduced. It has been that really the quality of service has been reduced. And a couple of things that, when I teach this, we kind of look at search and rescue, which is, so kind of rescue helicopters, which the government used to run itself, and is now done by, I've forgotten. But they did invest into new helicopters, and by and large, the service remains. But what one report found is that crews are less likely to want to fly in bad weather conditions, and also the new helicopters aren't great at landing in unprepared areas, which if you're stuck on the side of a mountain in a blizzard probably isn't very comforting to you. Same with hospital cleaning. There's a correlation with outsourcing and a rise in kind of hospital diseases, MRSA, and stuff like that. When we looked at some of the prisons, again we saw prisons have been outsourced and privatised, and again it's not clear that's been very successful. And kind of a few years ago, HMP Birmingham, which was privately run, was taken back into state control because of the squalor and crime that was happening inside the prison. So a lot really depends on which areas are outsourced and how it's done. I'm going to pause again, and then there's another couple of areas that we can talk about with this that I'll do in a minute.